Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another session of Leo and Emma English. I'm Leo.
And I'm Emma. Hello, hello. So glad to be back in your ears today. We're tackling a topic that is honestly a little bit of a harsh truth for a lot of learners.
Yeah, it's a bit of a reality check. Emma, I get emails about this every week. People say, Leo, I listen to your podcast and I understand 95%. I go to my English lesson and I feel like a genius. But then I went to a party in London last night and I felt like I didn't know a single word of English.
It's the tutor bubble, isn't it? It's a real thing. You feel so confident in the classroom, but the real world is a completely different beast.
Exactly. So today, we're going to spend some time breaking down why real people are so much harder to understand than tutors or podcasters, and more importantly, how you can train your ears for the chaos of real life. But before we get into the practical tips, we need to understand the mechanics of why this happens. It's not just that people speak fast.
Right. Let's start with the most obvious reason. The teacher voice, or in linguistics, this is often called teacher talk or caregiver speech.
Oh, I'm guilty of this. As a teacher, I subconsciously speak more clearly. I use a slightly higher pitch, I pause after important words, and I avoid using 10 different idioms in one sentence. It's almost a protective mechanism to make sure the student doesn't drown.
Right. We call it comprehensible input. Teachers are trained to adapt their speech to your level. We are like human subtitles. But real people? They don't care about your level. They are just trying to get their point across as fast as possible. There was actually a study published in Applied Linguistics a few years back that analyzed the speech rate of ESL teachers versus natural conversation. They found that teachers not only spoke significantly slower, but they also simplified their syntax, the sentence structures, without even realizing it.
That makes total sense. We strip away the complexity to help you learn, but in doing so, we create this artificial environment. Now, reason number 2 is where things get really messy. Fillers, false starts, and reductions. In this podcast, Emma and I speak in relatively clean sentences.
Usually.
But in real life, real speech is a disaster zone. People start a sentence, stop, change their mind, and use and like every 3 words. It breaks the flow that you, as a learner, rely on to identify grammar structures.
Oh, absolutely. It sounds like, I was thinking that maybe we should go to that place. You know the one. Anyway, so by the time they actually get to the verb, your brain is already exhausted. And reductions are huge. In a classroom, I might say, what are you going to do? In the street, that becomes, what you gonna do? Or even just, what you doing? If your brain is looking for what are, you miss the whole sentence.
That reminds me of the concept of connected speech. Native speakers don't speak in words, they speak in sound units. Words bleed into each other. If you look at the research on phonology, this linking, where the end of one word attaches to the beginning of the next, is one of the biggest barriers for learners. You're waiting for a space between words that never comes.
And reason number 3, the acoustic environment, background noise. In a podcast, we have professional microphones and a quiet room. We are spoiled. In reality, you have cars honking, music playing, and 3 other people talking at the same time. This brings us to what psychologists call the cocktail party effect.
This is fascinating stuff. It's the brain's ability to focus on a single auditory source while filtering out a range of other stimuli. It's a cognitive workout.
Exactly. It is a physical skill. Your brain has to learn how to filter out the noise and zoom in on the voice you want to hear. If you only study in a quiet room with noise-canceling headphones, your brain never learns how to do that filtering. You essentially have weak auditory muscles.
So we have the teacher voice, the messiness of natural speech, and environmental noise. That's the trifecta of why the tutor bubble bursts. So what's the secret? How do we fix this?
My first tip, stop listening to ESL content exclusively. If you only listen to podcasts for English learners, you are staying in the shallow end of the swimming pool. You need to jump into the deep end. You need to consume content that wasn't made for you.
I agree. Start listening to native content. Find a podcast about a topic you love, gardening, crypto, cooking, where the hosts are 2 friends just talking. They won't slow down for you, and that's exactly what you need. You want to hear people interrupting each other, laughing over each other's lines. That is the gold standard for listening practice.
Tip number 2, dirty your listening. This is a bit unconventional. If you're watching a YouTube video or a movie, turn off the subtitles. Then intentionally make the environment bad. Turn on some background noise. Maybe open the window or have the radio on low in the other room.
That sounds like torture, Emma. You want them to suffer?
It is a little bit of torture, but it's like training for a marathon with weights on your legs. When you finally go to that party, the real world will feel much easier because you've practiced in difficult conditions. You are training that cocktail party effect we talked about.
Another huge thing is vocal variety. In a podcast, we have clear voices. We articulate. But in real life, you'll meet people with heavy accents, people who mumble, and people who talk while eating a sandwich.
The sandwich factor, very important. You need to expose yourself to different accents. Don't just listen to standard British or general American. Listen to someone from Glasgow, someone from Texas, someone from Singapore, someone from Nigeria. Global English is diverse. If you only understand the Queen's English, you only understand a tiny fraction of the world.
We've been talking for a while now, and basically we're telling you to stop being afraid of the messiness of English. Perfection in the classroom doesn't translate to competence in the street.
I'm convinced that the difference between a B2 speaker and a C1 speaker isn't more grammar. It's the ability to handle unpredictable English. It's about resilience. When you miss a word, do you panic? Or do you use context clues to keep going?
It's about moving from classroom English to street English. It's scary at first, but it's where the real fun begins. That's where the culture lives. You can't really understand a culture if you only understand the textbook version of it.
So here is your homework. Today, find a native podcast, not a learning one, and listen to just 5 minutes of it. Don't worry if you only understand 40%. Just let your ears get used to the speed and the mess.
Tell us in the comments which podcast you chose. We'd love to see what you're listening to. And remember, feeling lost is part of the process. It means you're growing.
Thanks for being great with us today at Leo and Emma English.
Get out of the bubble and into the world. Catch you later.